Down in
Tennessee, where freedom is alive.
His shots ring from the woods. Take on 45. She's wherever any probably should. There's comments here in Nashville, man. Anyway, got a plan. Life is good. So we're shooting down in the woods. You probably wouldn't really good. Life is good.
Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the still somewhat barren hills of Tennessee, the home of Alvin York, Minnie Pearl, Dolly Parton, and all sorts of cool people. Jeff Quinn lived here, and so many unnamed folks lived here and died here and are still here, but on the wrong side of the grass, where we're all going to be one day, right? So anyway, good to see you. Glad you're here, and you know what I have, don't you? You've been around long. You recognize that stock, yeah, the saga of the Bavarian Model 85, 6.5 by 55 Swede round. You know, many of you know all the stories and the history of it, right? How I liked the round, have Model 96 Swedish Mauser, and how I ran across these at SHOT shows and NRA conventions, exhibit halls, and how I couldn't get them off my mind, and then we actually got one from Buds to review in 270, and yeah, that put it on my mind in a bigger way. And then I found one in the caliber I wanted, chambering I wanted, 6.5 by 55, and I guess I've had it, what, a year or so. And in fact, it was the last bolt rifle I'd ever sell, wasn't it, in that video? So a little bit of history with this thing already. And I just thought I'd bring it out and plink with it today. I got a couple of firearms today, and this is one, boy, two nice firearms. And this one, man, look at that wood. On top of it feeling better on my shoulder than any rifle I've ever shouldered, I guess. It's in the chambering I like, and it is beautiful. It's beautiful. So, brought you out. SAKO Model 85. Bavarian. Yes, there's some empty brass. I guess I fired that, didn't I, just now? Let's see, I could show you a bullet if you're new. You're not familiar with the, not that tells you a lot without comparing it with other rounds. But I guess it's about the size of a 308, right, the case, and then neck down to, 6.5 by 55. Of course, this one came first, right, before the 308. So we don't want to change history there. Believe it, what year did, it did come out before 308, of course. Because the 1896, I guess 1896, around there on the cartridge, because that's when the Swedish Mauser came into being, right? So, but the Krag Jorgensen was chambered in this, and Denmark and Sweden, and so that was before then. So I'm not sure on the day. I forgot. I have known before and doing some research, but it just escapes me right now. So glad you came out, and appreciate you being here, and every week, many of you. So appreciate that yet, though, have they? I'm not too quiet. And then, of course, Ballistol and Talon Grips. Everybody's present. Yes, before I forget, it just dawned on me as I was saying that, speaking of the NRA, I was not going to the NRA. Well, it kind of sneaks up on me. After all, man, the last 2 years have been crazy, haven't they? 2.5 years. The last time life was semi-normal for all of us, I guess. It was like early in 2020. I remember being at SHOT Show, kind of as normal. At the Venetian and everything, come home, and then it all broke out, right? And an NRA meeting was supposed to be that spring, of course. I call it a convention. It's really just a meeting, but I think of it as a convention. It's the exhibits and everything. The biggest gun show in the country. A lot of us think of it that way. And because it is. And that was canceled. And then I forget what all was going to happen. Were they going to maybe redo it in the fall? I don't know, or the next spring. I don't know. I forget now what happened. But it was canceled once, twice, 3 times or something, Because I made reservations in Houston about 6 times, it seems like. Went through all the rigmarole trying to get a place downtown, all this. And I was at a point where after this past year, I may never go to anything again. I am so weary of trying to get reservations and then finally getting them and then having to cancel them and all that kind of thing. And so anyway, I just put it all out of my mind. And it wasn't probably a month ago or something. Somebody mentioned the NRA or asked me if I was going. I said, oh, I don't know. When is it? Well, it's coming up. I don't know. It kind of sneaked past me that it was even happening, And then with the NRA's problems, I wasn't sure whether they would have it or what was going on and all that. And so I realized, oh, okay, it is in May. There's going to be another NRA meeting, supposedly, right? And so I'm not going. We'll get back into the swing of things, maybe next year, 2023, maybe. But I don't know. The more people have asked me, or I've heard of folks going, and I thought, well, I don't know. Maybe I don't have a reason not to, really. And I enjoy those meetings, those events, and they're hectic, but I enjoy seeing everybody in the industry. We don't really have to go, but it's just kind of a perk, or it's fun. It's interesting to see everything that's out there and everything's coming out, maybe, or some new things that are out, and go to every booth of every gun manufacturer on the planet and fondle their firearms. They take the firing pins out and all that. We've talked about that before. Every single model is there. They have there and for you to handle and all that kind of thing. And you see people you haven't seen for a long time. So anyway, I said, well, maybe. Let me see at this later date if there's any kind of reservations I can get without staying 10 miles away, from the convention hall, and all that. Because I'm a bit of a snob, lazy snob when it comes to these things. Either I don't go, if I can't afford to go and stay somewhere pretty nice close by, I just don't go. Skip it, go when I can afford it, or whatever, really. And rather than trying to find parking every day and mess with it, it's just really, really a nice luxury to go to the convention hall and then just walk back to the room. That is just, it's worth $1 million. Not $1 million, but it's worth a lot. And you pay a lot, right, to do that, really. But so I got to checking around online. So, oh, here I go again. Talk about deja vu nightmare. And because I'm not sure what all the problems were the first 2 times I made reservations in Houston, but it just became a rigmarole trying to get in. And it's too early. No, those rooms have not been set aside yet, and all this kind of thing. And we'll notify you. They didn't notify. It was crazy. And I'll be darned if I said, well, let me check. And I found a place downtown, or within walking distance, supposedly, about 3/4 of a mile, I guess, from the George Brown Convention Center, whatever it's called in Houston. And showed they had vacancies. I went on through there, okay, if I can get a room here, all right, I got into it, put my specifications in. Okay, looks like I can get a room here if I nail it down right now. not too crazy priced. And okay, so I did. I nailed it down. I guess I'll go. So anyway, long story shorter, I'll see some of you at the NRA meeting, okay, in Houston. So going to be there already. So then I contacted and made arrangements with a couple of our sponsors, like SDI. We're going to be at their booth on it's on Saturday afternoon, I think at 3, but I'll let you know because I've got lots of Sunday shoot-arounds. So I'll let you know where we're going to be at the meeting if you're going to the NRA meeting in Houston. Okay, I think it's May around the end of May. So I'll get all the specs, specifics for you, remind you. You can look it up. But so I know we'll be at the SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute booth for an hour, and then at Silencer Central. I think that one's Friday afternoon. Okay, so anyway, we'll land in a couple of places so you can find us, and then I'll be milling around there too. So anyway, and again, it's the biggest gun show, in the country, and regardless of whether you're upset with the NRA or not, it's the biggest gun show in the country, and probably most people go for the exhibits and don't even get out of the exhibit hall. So it's, that kind of deal. It's not like you're compromising by even going to the NRA meeting, I guess, if you feel that way. Or maybe it is. It's up to you. I don't know. I still don't know what the NRA, maybe some of you all do. I don't know what the NRA has done really good lately or bad lately. If you do, share it, I mean, most people just like to rail against the NRA, and that's been a fashionable thing to do for a long time now, and blame them for every piece of gun control that's ever come along, and I don't spend a lot of time trying to defend them. I have, just out of a sense of logic, I think, too many times in the past, just to point out to people. And of course, when we were being sponsored, the show, it came off badly, of course, if I did that. But we other than them being a sponsor, we've never had ties with them, and my being a member for my whole life almost, and still a life member. But I still think people are probably a little too harsh on them for a long time. But then again, they deserved a lot too. So I don't know. It's one of the things about all of that still, I think some people don't think about, even though they do and they don't want to admit it. The NRA, one of the problems they have had over the years, and they quite possibly have abused it and not done well, But one of the problems that we have inherently with any time like one person or one organization is kind of responsible for holding the fort on something, well, they could hold the fort on 1,000 different days and almost die holding the fort. But if they let the enemy through one time, or let one enemy through, or anything like that, or they make some compromise to keep from being killed, and then the whole fort collapsing, then anyway, all that is on their record, and they're the ones who are responsible for, on such and such date, this happening, because they were the ones holding the door, holding the wall, holding the fort, and they failed on that day. So then it just becomes that narrative that we wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the NRA or for Joe Smith or whoever, I mean, think about it, if you're in that position where you're running a company maybe, and you've made 1,000,000 great decisions, and you're responsible for the success of that company, but somewhere along the way you screwed up one day and you let something get by, or you used poor judgment, or it turned out not to be great judgment. It was what you thought was smart at the time, but it turned out not to be. Well, then people are going to focus on that one big mistake you made or something like that. So you got a little bit of that, okay? And then that gets amplified on social media and the internet, especially if you have a really, really active, energized group of mall ninja warriors, okay, that think that anything old school is horrible, you know. But then again, there's guilt there, you know, and that's when we severed ties. Pretty lucrative being sponsored by the NRA or any large organization, you know, if they want, you know, they want the exposure on your TV show or YouTube channel, whatever it is. And we just took the knife to that one day because as it came out, a lot of the stuff I was talking about, yeah, okay, maybe they are responsible. Maybe they didn't fight hard enough for this, or maybe they were behind the scenes deals that were made or something that were really not ethical. You don't even know all that stuff. You hear rumors and, you know, people make up stuff, narratives, so you see it's hard to know. But some of the abuse of the money that we send them that came out a few years back, just not a good use of the dollars. I mean, that seemed pretty obvious and pretty well cut and dried, okay? And then so if you're new, you know, we could no longer like recommend you join the NRA if the money is going to buy suits or something, or trips to Hawaii for somebody rather than for fighting against the gun control measures. So that's why we severed ties. But as far as inside baseball, I just never have been privy to that. Don't really know how guilty the NRA has been of things. You know, and I know there's people all over the internet that know everything about it, but probably don't. You know, probably don't unless you're there. So, but anyway, I'm not here to defend them, or that's for sure, or praise them. Now, I don't know. I'd like to see them, as many people have said, get back to the business and be a really, really strong force on our side. You know, so that'd be great. That'd be ideal. And I think there needs to be a change of regime probably for that to happen and for them to garner the support they once had. Yeah, that's probably what needs to happen. But anyway, going to go to the exhibition and see all the folks in the industry and thoroughly enjoy it once they get there and get landed, right? So, hope to see you there. And I'll let you know more about that as we get there, as it gets closer. So, yep, this is the Bavarian 85. And I'm going to shoot it again. I'll tell you what else I have. I haven't fired it yet. Here I go with one of these deals. When we posted, well, we've done several Canik videos, Canik videos, and as soon as I posted the last one, people were commenting. I noticed, well, you need to try the Rival. The Rival's out now. I think you'll like it better. Okay, I'll look into it. And a lot of people have mentioned the Rival. And guess what I have in my hand? The Rival. The Rival just arrived, and I've not fired it yet. I'll tell you what, though, it feels pretty good. And one of the things I see they've corrected was one of my biggest complaints, and that is where the trigger breaks. Yeah, it's got a nice trigger, and it doesn't break as far rearward as that last one did. And so what was that model? The FSX. But so, yeah, everybody eventually gets it figured out, right? So I have checked it. Let me. Action's open. Okay, and just make sure we got a clear barrel. All right. So let's take a shot with this thing. See how it shoots. Just like I said before, you know, I just want y'all to see me get blown up someday. Some firearms never been fired before, and I'm firing it for the first time. Okay, let's try that target. Oh, boy, I like that. It's got a fine front sight. Wow, what a group at this long range. Let's just hit the gong. Is it hitting it? Yeah, that one did. Okay, I think I was going too high. I hear it. I'll have to work on the sights a little bit. Let's just work on them right now. I'm going to hold right in the middle of that cowboy. Huh. Okay, I was holding, I kind of just above his belt buckle. So those three seem to indicate to me it might print, I need to adjust that sight a little bit. It might print a little high and to the left. Or that might be me, I haven't shot it a lot. So I might have been going a little high left on the gong. Let me try that red plate right there. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a little high, okay? Let me go back out there and hold on the bottom of that thing. Yep, okay. That tells me. Let's lay it down there. So, yeah, the Canik, the Rival. Y'all know what you're talking about. Yeah, those of you who have recommended that and said that it's a better gun, and I think you might be right. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, what else did you want to know about? I don't know. Oh yeah, I need to mention early on two different people who said something to me about. Oh, my ears are about some imposter. Around. Well, they're asking me, you know, if I was it didn't smell right to them. Some scam on a gun giveaway or something, a 40 caliber or something or whatever it was, but some kind of scam involved me, some imposter. So just watch for that, okay? I've mentioned it before. There's imposters out there, and that happens with anybody that's got I don't know, anybody that's a public figure at all, and especially associated with the internet. So if there's anything going on, you're going to hear about it in the Sunday videos, right? Yeah, I'm going to be talking about it, and you'll know. So anytime you see a posting, a comment, or if you get some stupid email, scam email, supposedly from me or whatever, you know, it should be pretty obvious whether it's me or not. It's probably not, you know, unless you're a Patreon member or something. It's just, you know, it's something that comes out of left field, something I've not talked about if you followed the videos. So if someone who is a casual watcher and maybe knows about our videos but doesn't see them all or whatever, I don't know, they might be easier to fool on something like that. But you have to be careful these days, don't you? I get emails sometimes. I got one not all that long ago. It was supposedly, who was it, from my bank or a credit card company, one or the other. And it really did look like, okay, this is done pretty well, you know, and you know, you're supposed to click here and all that. This looks pretty legit, but it's you're not gonna fool me. Sorry. I called, you know, either the number on my credit card or called the bank. I forget which it was, and they said, yeah, it was legitimate. Yeah. I mean, we're to a point where it's hard to tell which is legitimate and what's not, isn't it? It's a shame, because there's always people lazy, ne'er-do-wells, rather than actually have a career or do something productive. They're out there figuring out ways to fake things, you know, on the internet, and you know, it's just crazy, really crazy. I know I have missed emails. I have ignored things and deleted them, because if I'm in doubt, I generally just delete it. Because you know, you get all that stuff in your spam box, or it doesn't go to spam. That's the thing about it. Lots of times, something, and you think about, if you're going to do that, let's see now, what kind of scam might I try to pull, and what might my topic be, subject be in my email? How about something about Amazon? Your Amazon order was canceled. Yeah, well, everybody orders on Amazon, so that's going to get people's attention. Oh no, really? Why? You know, click on it. You start wondering, trying to find out feverishly, why was it not delivered, or why was it canceled? You know, so all that stuff. You can see through most of it, but the thing is, if Yeah, I don't know how you do it if you're a company like Amazon or a bank or whatever, you're legitimate. How do you get an email to somebody and get them to take it seriously? You know, whether it's from PayPal or eBay, a gun broker, or your bank, or Amazon, or whatever, you know, because I mean, those are the companies everybody's trying to fake and make it look like it's from them. They steal their logos and everything else, just like they've done from us online, you know, various things. There's some idiot out there promoting some kind of magazine loader and using my name, some knockoff, I think on the Maglula or something. I get an email occasionally that I don't know how to track all that stuff down. Don't have time to fool with it. Just know there's not much like that you're going to see that we're involved in. Okay, you know, we've talked about it. If it is, you know, like the zombie movie, you know about the rattlesnake movie. They got permission to use me in a video, a piece of it in that movie. You know, it's just. You pretty much know what's going on if you watch the videos, okay? Don't be fooled by an imposter. Don't be tricked. I'm not into tricks, for one thing. Anything we do is going to be up front, okay? And you would have to ask yourself, well, if Hickok is doing this or trying to do something or whatever, why doesn't he talk about this on Sundays? You know, when all he does is yak. So that might be a clue. All right, what else did I shoot? How about this rifle? Let's put some more rounds in it. I forgot I had my extra magazine for this. What a rifle. It has a detachable magazine, but it's, it's just a high quality loading system. Easy to load, and you can take it out if you want, but you don't really gain a lot. Although I bought an extra one, so I'd have it in case I'm in combat. I'll have 10 rounds, right? All right, 6.5 to 55. I think we should blast a 2-liter. Every time I put it to my shoulder, I'm surprised all over again. Let's get a turkey. One bullet left. How about let's do a little bowling right here. Right through that baby. Oh man. As I've said before, that barrel, because of the full-length stock, it appears to be a short barrel. And now, I've forgotten how long it is. But it's, I think it's 20 inches at least. I don't guess it's 22. But when you think of a 20-inch barrel like on an AR-15, you think of a long barrel, don't you? But this looks like a carbine. I think it's called a carbine, but it's not that short. Not that short. SAKO 85 Bavarian. Made in Finland. Beautiful wood. They grow some beautiful wood over there. All right. I think it's black walnut. Looks like it. Oh boy. Nice, nice. So, well, we got advice, didn't we, to go buy a Tesla, buy an electric car, take care of things if you're paying too much for gas. You know, I was thinking I would have no problems doing exactly that. I have nothing against new stuff, innovation. I was one of the first kids on the block to computers and Glocks, polymer guns, and all that thing. I have no problem with it if it has the same room that my Yukon has in it. It runs as well. It will run as far, and I can charge it up just as easily. Hey, no problem. I don't care what my vehicle runs on, as long as it's got power. You know, I didn't invent gasoline. I don't care what powers the engine, whether there's a nuclear reactor under the hood, or what, or if it's an electric car, which is really a coal-fired car or nuclear-fired car, right? Because that's where the energy comes from to charge the batteries, and make the batteries and everything. So they run basically on coal or nuclear energy. So I don't really care what the energy is. Just keep them running as conveniently as they do. I'd be happy to move to that. I'm 3 years basically into my Yukon. I might, if it weren't for the apocalypse, I'd be looking for cars now. I kind of got the itch, but to trade. But it's a great car. But I would consider an electric vehicle just like it if there was one out there. But again, what do you really gain? What's it really gain? Just using a different form of energy. Again, coal, nuclear power, petro, whatever. So anyway, and I wonder about the charging. I go on trips so many times. And today I was out and had to stop and gas up. Takes 3 minutes and I'm back on the road. I don't think I can do that, especially recharging a car that's big enough to fit me. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. But we ain't there yet, as far as I know. Not yet. Or, man, when I think of driving out to a SHOT Show and driving through the West, like I had done many times, 2 weeks at a time, and it gas up, wow, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a day, and then gas up and move on. Another 300 miles gas up, and move on. So we have to have the infrastructure, for that. But anyway, interesting. We're learning a lot about the world, about the organizations and the people that run it. I remember the good old days when I'm so old. I remember the good old days, and my wife has been in the medical field for a long, long time, and I remember the good old. And I was in the medical field publishing for a long time. I remember when whatever the CDC said was the gospel, basically. That's who you looked up to. I remember when you looked up to the FBI. You looked up to the CIA, even the IRS. You didn't want to, but you had respect for it. My, has the world changed, right? The CDC is just a political arm. And it's sad because, my gosh, who do you trust? Who do you trust for information? You've got to, boy, it's a good thing there is an internet. And at least if you dig and dig, you might find the information that hasn't been squelched, by big tech, but it's hard to find information just to base your own decisions on it, because you can't trust the entities you used to be able to, right? Strange world. Can I shoot this again? I've got soft points in here now. That way I thought, well, that way if I shoot my toe, it won't hurt as much. You got soft point bullets in it. All right, don't believe that, young people. Right through the propane tank. That's not going to knock it over. Wow, I wasn't even trying to do that. Went through the bowling pin and got that 2-liter. Now that bowling pin had been kind of shot up. If it were brand new, probably wouldn't have done that. Should another pin. Yeah. Let's just hit the gong. Rocking. Since it's a soft point, I figured it wouldn't hurt him as badly. And this 2-liter right here needs to be popped. Oh boy. If you like rifles, I hope someday you get one that fits this well. That fits you this well. I know a lot of people comment, you ought to hunt, you ought to hunt. Well, I'm too lazy. But boy, this would be my hunting rifle, I think, if I did. I wouldn't worry about getting scratches on it. It would just be my hunting rifle. It's the irony. This thing is a great rifle. I got lots of great rifles and that shoot well for me, but I don't hunt. Same way with shotguns. I think I told you last week I went to a sporting clays event I helped sponsor, and for a local school, and I didn't really plan to shoot. I got my over and under Browning out just in case I did. Was cleaning it up and everything, and I thought, oh man, because I had the pad on that when I bought it, lengthened by a gunsmith, a thicker pad, put her spacers put in it, and that gun is almost like this. When I pull it up, it fits me really about as well. Yeah, they're probably the two long guns I own. Those two just come up and perfect, you know. And but there again, not only do I not hunt with shotguns, I don't take that thing out and shoot clays with it enough. I need to do that. That's on my list to do more of. It really is. It's and get better at it. Get good enough to where maybe I want to go more. Although it's fun, I don't care what I hit. It's still fun to do that occasionally. So yeah, the irony of it all. Oh boy, we're speaking of old days and the good old days. We were talking about movies last week, and and I saw a meme. I've seen a couple on Instagram, I guess, like that lately. And there's one, I think it was, you may have seen some of these. I think it was a gathering of kids in the 70s on their bicycles and tricycles and stuff out in the street playing, riding around. And it was obviously an old picture of the 70s, maybe 60s, I think 70s. The caption was something like, who knew we would be the last generation to have a normal life, or something like that. And I thought, boy, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I talk a lot about that. Sound like an old man, don't I, for some reason? But how I grew up and people of my generation, you hear a lot of that. And and I think nowadays that the people who are 40 or 30 are not as bored by those conversations. They're probably more interested. And probably they're nodding their head, yeah, man, that must have been great. Instead of just, another old guy talking about how much better it was when he was, coming through it, whatever. Sadly enough, there's a lot more truth in that than there used to be maybe generations back, Wow, for so many reasons. But yeah, because when you're young, you have 12, 15, 20, 25, you go through the things and you see your grandparents, your parents, and the music they like or they preferred, music your grandparents preferred, or the things they like to do and everything. And you develop this picture of the various generations and the passing of time and how interests change, and how you have different tastes than your parents in a lot of ways, and you want to do different things, and you think some of the things they like to do are silly, and that your grandparents liked to do were silly, some were not, but you just, and that and you sort of know too inherently, okay, when I have kids, it's going to be the same way. Maybe you're 30, you're 35, you got kids, you got young kids, and you can see that they're going to have different already interests than you have, and you still think of yourself as a kid almost. So there's just passing from one generation to the next, passing of tradition, changing of traditions and interests and that kind of thing. It's just the normal way the world works. Everybody thinks the kids of today or lazy, or they're slackers, or their music is stupid, or their music is worse than my generation, or whatever it is. It's always that way, and we kind of know that. It's just the changing times. I think we know down deep that no, it's not really better, in my generation than the younger people today or whatever. It's just our perception. That old guy over there that's 40 years older than I am thinks the same thing about his generation and his music and the cars of his world and everything else. We're so much better than all that. But the point I'm making is, I don't know. I'm coming to believe that now that's not so much the case, really. And have come to that conclusion over the last 10 years or more, that I was very, very fortunate. I mean, the times that I grew up and other generations around me too, It's just times have gotten so crazy, and maybe we'll come out of it. But the way people are, social media has turned everybody into monsters, and everybody's everybody's a safety Nazi. Face diapers or whatever. Everybody's afraid of the world, and it really is different. I think it's profoundly different. The mindset is profoundly different. So I don't know that the people in future generations are going to have just a different life. To me, it looks like it's going to be less quality, if we don't do something about it, And again, it's my perspective. Everybody thinks they have the best life, but it's looking more and more when I see that. Yeah, I didn't realize that I had maybe not just me, maybe people even younger than I am, but we actually might have had some of the last normal childhoods. Yeah, we're out riding bikes. We lived down the street riding bikes till dark. Then we'd play hide and seek, and parents weren't worried about us. We'd go out and be gone all day riding our bikes, my cousin and I, around the neighborhoods and stuff. And when I lived in the country, riding away miles away on our bikes on country roads, they knew we'd be okay. I was over at my buddy's house when I was 11, 12. We were shooting his gun and stuff, and then riding my bike back home. But anyway, that made me think when I saw that meme that, little did we know, we would have one of the last normal childhoods, people not slapping face diapers on our faces and hiding us away, and everybody afraid of shadows, and just being able to go out and climb trees and build tree houses and play in the creek and build dams and have dogs and, run around with the dogs and just live on a bicycle and come home for lunch maybe and show up for, just play with fireworks, have fireworks, be out playing. And not everything we were doing we were supposed to be doing either, maybe. But we survived it, and boy, I tell you, it's just so different now. And I got thinking about that when I saw that. Yeah, that is big. There's a point there. And it's kind of the same way. Little did I know. I followed this before, and bragging on my music too. But little did we know. Same thing. You have that same perception of music because your parents liked a different music, or my parents liked different music, and great grandparents other music from their days and everything. And even though we were all caught up in the Beatles, and in the 60s, and the Rolling Stones and all that, and all the other bands, what was it, Dave Clark 5 or Grand Funk Railroad or whatever, and the James Gang, the Rolling Stones. Somehow you just, okay, this is all cool. My parents don't like it, but we didn't like their music so much either, and there'll be music that the next generation will like that I won't like, and that will just propagate itself and it'll just continue. Well, here I am in 2020, and if I hear somebody listening to radio, there's likely to be listening to the Rolling Stone. They're more likely almost to be listening, if they're 30 years old, to an old Beatles song or the Rolling Stones or something, or the James. So there's this perception that was the last really good rock and roll music, and I know people of my generation get accused of not keeping up with the music, that there actually is good music, but doesn't seem like it. Where's the Led Zeppelin of today? Where's the James Gang? Where are the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, or anybody even like them? I guess tastes change and everything. But again, who knew that would be it? And that, I'm 20 years old, I'm 18 years old, 25, and that's the music I'm listening to. Who knew that everybody would be listening to that same music 50 years later? So strange, huh? But anyway, we're all egotistical and we think that our generation was the best and our music was the best. But the weird thing about it is it's looking more and more like, like the 60s and the 70s, maybe the 50s even, but the 60s and 70s, I don't know, maybe the 80s. that was the high point of of time, because we seem to be going downhill in so many ways. You know, it's that social media and the internet, I guess. That's what started it. It really did. So anyway, that all sounds narrow-minded, I realize, and I realize there's a lot of great music out there today, and there are a lot of great activities, but I tell you, things don't seem to be getting better in a lot of ways, right? So let's just shoot and forget about it. Oh yeah, I have a magazine. This thing comes with 2 mags, 18 rounds. 18 rounds. And I don't guess it's any bigger. I think the slide's longer, but the grip doesn't feel any bigger than like a Glock 17. All right, let's shoot this thing. Try it again. Got a nice trigger. Oh yeah, bullseye. Gotta figure out where to hold. Actually, you just have to figure out where to move the sights on this one. It has adjustable sights, so I will adjust these. They're simple to adjust, and I'll get it. Right now, I'll take my time with it when y'all are not watching. Take a few shots, and right now it seems like it might shoot a hair to the left, and shoots a little high, so all I had to do is crank that sight down. Oh my gosh, use a star wrench for that. It's probably one in the box. And I'll adjust the sights before we do a video. Made in Turkey, says right on it. SFX Rival. Okay. Pretty cool. Yeah, man. I might have to have one of those. Nice trigger. You know, the trigger is interesting. It's, if you can see, it's a wider paddle. I've never seen one like that. It's wide. I guess that's annoying. It just feels fine. And it breaks where I want it to. You know, and when I first shot it, I said something about the sight being fine. I didn't mean that as in good. It is good. But what I meant was it's very fine. It's very small. It's like a pinpoint. That thing, you could drive nails with it, get the sights on. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about, but the fiber optic is just really fine. You could just pinpoint that. You could actually hit something with that. All right, pretty nice, pretty nice. And I need to shoot this again. All right, I got 5 rounds lying here. Let's just put them in. Was anything else that I needed to tell you about? Probably not. A couple of those. Hope you enjoyed the AK video. Yeah, man. Warmed up the old Arsenal Sam 7 this week, and enjoyed that. Enjoyed it. Man, that was a nice rifle. It's you know, that Krebs custom peep sight. But custom sounds like it's something really strange. It's just a peep sight I put on. I put those on all my AKs since I discovered those, almost all of them, years ago, like over 10 years ago. And they just replaced the stock sight, and it gives you a little bit of a ghost ring. To me, it makes the sights much easier to see on an AK. But that's the only thing really, other than the sear, of course, modified. But it has a nice rifle. Boy, you can just drive nails with that thing. And just like this, picking this up, hit whatever you want to hit with it. And now it's got that selector switch, and so that's pretty cool. If you've never fired a full auto, it's not. It's the kind of thing I can live without, but it's kind of fun occasionally. If you've never done it, I would highly recommend, and you like to shoot, go to a rental range somewhere, because there's probably one in your city near you, because there's so many places now where you can rent things like that and shoot them. I know in Nashville at Royal Range USA, you can rent AKs. You can rent one that we shot out here. You can rent the M60, one of the M60s we shot out here, and different things. You can pay and shoot it. It's not cheap, but you know, a lot cheaper than buying one. So you know, go spend a little money and shoot a full auto AK. See what it feels like. You know, that's something that not everybody's done. Not everybody's had that experience. That way, when you're seeing battlefield footage on the news, you know what at least it feels like to shoot it. And so, all right. You don't have to, but it might be something you want to try sometime. It is available. The reason I mentioned it, a lot of people might not even realize that it's possible to do that. All right, shooting soft points again. So these won't hurt anything. Probably just bounce off a watermelon with the soft points. Have I missed yet? I should miss something just to prove I can do it. I'll shoot the top of that bowling pin. Shoot this guy again. Yeah, he's becoming sawdust mainly. All right, the last shot, let's put it on the turkey. Oh, just had to miss. Where's a bullet? Where's a bullet? Give me a round here. Okay, can't quit on a miss. So anyway, I don't know what else we've been posting. The Colt through the years. That was a fun video to do. Got to do a Colt single action, the last one I'd ever sell here at some point too. Some ways I hate it that like an AK video or something like that will get so many more views than a good old Colt single action video. You know, they just don't draw a lot of people, all the young people, you know, is part of it. Teenagers that aren't familiar with the Colt single action, for example, aren't going to click on that. And you got to be a little older, you know, to have a fondness, I think, for the history of firearms like that. It'll come, and a lot of young people are becoming more and more interested in it, sometimes because of video games and different things. But I wish more people, oh man, just appreciated the beauty of those things and the craftsmanship, the mechanics, and the history. Yeah. All right, let's get that turkey. That's better. That's better. I'll get him one more time. It hit him at least twice for making me miss him. So I guess I'll let you know. I feel like there's something else really important. I know, I didn't give you any advice, young people. The advice, what do I have? I'll tell you what my advice is. My advice is simple. My ears are stopped up or something today. Young people, try to get away from the screens, the computers, the phone, and all that occasionally. I know you're not going to do it permanently. You can't in today's world. Try to get away, carve out some time, and do something real that's not virtual. Maybe a hobby, whether it's puzzles or carpentry or building something. You know, try to, if you can, develop an interest, not just a one-time thing. You know, go out for a hike or hiking or something. Leave the phone at home or turn it off. But really, for our mental health, we need to do that. I think need to do that. This ties into what I was talking about earlier. But we really need to get away from the internet, the phone, the screens, all that lighted screens. I think, boy, a good portion of the day would be ideal. You know, because kids younger and younger are getting that stuff in their pockets and getting that addiction early on, and their whole life is who's texting them and who's emailing them and what website they're going to and where they're posting and who's liking their post or whatever, and, all that stuff. Who am I following and who's following me and all that kind of stuff. I do a little of that, but I'm definitely not addicted to it and couldn't care less about like checking it every whatever day or few hours or whatever. And all that's fine, but boy, try to carve out, I don't know, a few hours, ideally a day, where you're doing something real, maybe with your hands. And I think it'll be really, really beneficial. Develop a hobby. Think about it. You may not have anything in mind right away, but just have in the back of your mind that it is really healthy to have something you're doing that's not on a screen. It really is. We shooters have an easier time. We might hand load, loading ammunition, things like that. Shooting, working on a gun, cleaning a gun. Might be listening to something on a podcast or whatever. But I mean, you're doing something real. It's just like listening to the radio, listening to a podcast, which I do all the time, with Adam Carolla or somebody or Joe Rogan or whoever. It's like having a radio on, so it's not like having your face in a screen all the time, but maybe you just gradually, you're pretty young and you develop an interest in, like I say, carpentry. I don't know, just something that you just enjoy doing. Gardening, raise some vegetables, just do something to get away from the screen occasionally would be my advice. Okay, so for whatever that's worth, glad you came out and appreciate your support. You'll probably see some more shooting this week, and then I hope I see you next week. Okay? Life is good.